Many times has the question been asked, what's grosser than gross? To properly answer this, you must first define gross as a reference point. Then you can introduce examples to determine the extent to which their case criteria meets the classification of grosser than. For example, if Madball's Garbage Pail Kids and Slimer are gross, then this is grosser than gross. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is the history of Boglins. Boglins are a line of interactive toys originally produced by Mattel in 1987. They were released in a few different sizes, different price ranges, different play gimmicks. But the main draw for the brand was the large, articulated, hand-operated, I don't want to say puppets, that skews a little too young and undermines what they were really capable of becoming when your imagination got to work. Boglins were like if you combined a marionette and a puppet. Call it a maripet. Or better yet, Boglins are a manually utilized, practical play entertainment device, a muppet. Cause like they're more than puppets, they're morpets. Boglins were gross, ghoulish creatures that you could put on your hand to bring the character to life via mouth control and an eyeball orientation mechanism. You could make them talk, blink, move their arms, and you could feel their creepily realistic synthetic skin-like texture. They established a new play pattern that set them apart from every other toy that was on the shelves at the time, and despite their short shelf life in the United States, lived on, earning fans around the world. Boglins were created by Tim Clark and Maureen Trotto. Prior to creating Boglins, Clark and Trotto developed characters for advertising agencies. The Pizza Head design for Banaka's Pizza Breath campaign starring Jason Alexander was one of their projects, as well as the Wicked Itch Witch in Lanacane's commercials. But before that, Tim Clark worked for the Jim Henson Company on the 1982 film The Dark Crystal. He was one of the main character creators, helping to bring the illustrations of Brian Froud to life. His work on that film led to his continued work for Henson on the television series Fraggle Rock beginning in 1983. While working on Fraggle Rock, he began to consider the commercial possibilities of bringing the work he was doing for Henson to toy shelves in some form or another. He even brought it to Jim Henson himself, who suggested that yes, they could do it, but that he, Jim Henson, didn't really want to. Every story has an origin, and that was the starting point for Tim Clark and his first line of toys, Sectaurs. Teaming up with Maureen Trotto and licensing agent Larry Mass of Seven Towns Limited, they brought Sectaurs to life. Sectaurs was a toy line whose main gimmick was bug puppets based on a spider that Clark made out of a glove for a Henson Company Halloween party. For more on the history of Sectaurs, please check out our video, The History of Sectaurs. Clark and Trotto were still thinking ahead, trying to figure out what else could be done with puppet-based toys. Clark was inspired by the 3,000-year-old Olmec colossal heads in southeastern Mexico, and also tapping the veins of gross-out culture and movie creatures that were permeating toys and collectibles at the time. In 1984, Ghostbusters introduced the world to Slimer, who, with proper licensing, could have easily been a Boglin himself. That same year saw Gizmo, the Mogwai, and the Gremlins. 1985 brought Ghoulies, Garbage Pail Kids, and Madballs. 1986, the movie Critters, and the various alien life forms in Flight of the Navigator. Tim Clark and Maureen Trotto brought their newly sculpted designs to Coleco, who were producing the Sectaurs action figure line. Coleco was considering Boglins as an addition to the Sectaurs, potentially a new adversary for Prince Dargon in 1986. Boglins were also a potential crossover to the doll market, a way to attract more than one type of buyer. The explosion of popularity around Cabbage Patch Kids in 1982 led to the creation of My Buddy in 1985. My Buddy inspired the monster market equivalent My Pet Monster in 1986. Boglins would take that momentum, add the gross out and puppetry factors to potentially capture all of those markets. Boglins in their original form had a grabbing hand in addition to the movable eyes and mouth. Coleco was interested in the concept but would need to simplify the engineering of their design to make them more cost-effective to produce. But before production could go any further with Boglins, before they could be rolled into Sectaurs, Coleco canceled Sectaurs, because Sectaurs were also very expensive to produce. Coleco needed to trim the budget after the failure of the Coleco Atom, a home computer expansion for the ColecoVision home video game system that cost nearly $2,000 in today's money. No Sectaurs meant no Boglins.
Hi, I'm a Boglin. Me and my buddies want to be your friend, right, guys? Right. Call us at 1-900-909-5464 and hear how we can protect you from ferocious beasts.
And help you teacher grade your math test.
Yeah, new story every day.
1 call gets you a 3D Boglin hologram like this.
4 calls get you a set of 6. Trade them with your buddies.
And part of your $2.35 2-minute call goes to Special Olympics.
So get your parents' permission and call us at 1-900-909-5464. Don't get the phone. I said get it, not eat it.
But that didn't stop Clark and Trotto from shopping the Boglins around. Lucky for them, 2 years later in 1987, Mattel got it and put them into production as their own line of toys, with the larger Boglins supported by an assortment of smaller Boglins. There were headlining, fully functional Boglins like Dwark, Vlob, and Drool. They had articulated shoulders, a tail, an easily positionable mouth, and a simple mechanism that facilitated eyeball and wink control, all with a single hand. They had glow-in-the-dark eyeballs and were made from a synthetic rubber-like material called Kraton. Each Boglin came ingeniously packaged in a box made to look like a shipping crate with facsimile prison bars to reinforce the idea that these were dangerous monsters, not cutesy stuffed animals. The box had a hole on the bottom that allowed you to animate the Boglin before even purchasing it. It also gave you everything you needed to know about the mythology of the toys through the Bogologist field notes. Which was good because Boglins had no other supporting media, rare for any toy line ever, but more so for the 80s. Mattel was banking on the interactivity, the uniqueness of the design of the toy to essentially sell itself. Mattel also released a line of smaller Boglins that eliminated the articulated eyeballs and eyebrows, but otherwise were practically the same thing, just smaller. Squid, Schlump, Sponk, Squawk, and Squeal were the Boglinus minimus to the Boglinus humongous classification of the larger toys. Boglins were on the shelves in the US in 1987 and 1988 and included both a serial promotion with Kellogg's and a 1-900 number where you could, call a Boglin and talk to it. According to Clark, Boglins had $7 million in orders at Mattel in 1988. The licensing rights for everything else, lunchboxes, shoes, notebooks, was initially owned by a third-party marketing firm. Mattel wanted full control and bought the licensing rights back and then did nothing. After just 2 years on the American shelves, Mattel discontinued Boglins. America's loss would be the rest of the world's gain thanks to toy companies like Ideal and Action GT picking up Boglins for international distribution. And, spoiler alert, they were even more popular outside the US. In the UK, the full-size Boglins were renamed from Squid, Schlump, Schlurp, Sponk, Squawk, and Squeal to Squit, Boink, Splat, Blap, Clang, and Doink. Some things just don't translate. They have to be localized for the culture. Between Mattel's US releases and the international continuation of the line, a full array of sizes and styles of Boglins were released that included Mini-Boglins, which were much smaller, non-posable, solid-color figures like muscle men sold in multi-packs. Slime Boglins were the same figures packaged in toilets with toy slime. Talking Boglins, Soggy Boglins, Halloween Boglins, Glow Boglins, Action Boglins, Basham Boglins, and even re-releases of the original Boglins with hair and wiggly tongues, and Baby Boglins, which were like finger puppets. It's good. It's
so close.
I only said Bloglins once.
I think you said it twice.
Oh, whatever. Caged Boglins and acrobat Boglins, which could stick to the wall like a wacky wall walker octopus toy. There were prototyped winged Boglins that didn't make it to production in time because in 1994 the line was discontinued in the UK as well. Meanwhile, back in the US, Mattel was releasing Street Sharks, which included an assortment of hand puppet toys called Hand Sharks.
Hand Shark!
That looked suspiciously like Boglins. There was even a character called Slobster, a name that had been introduced as one of the Soggy Boglins toys.
Hand Shark!
Boglins wouldn't be gone for long. In 2000, they returned to both the US and Europe with even less media support than they had the first time around. But this time they featured a few new gimmicks like battery-operated pop-out eyes, speech, sound effects, the ability to stick out their tongues and or spit water. The 2000 revival was brief, and the Boglins went back to the bogs. Boglins would come back again, though, in 2017 with a licensing deal with Seven Towns and Clutter magazine, this time with small, limited production runs sold directly to the collector market. And that is one of the most endearing things about Boglins. It is exceedingly rare that a creator of any pop culture toy or brand or anything can be involved with it from start to finish. But Tim Clark has managed to be involved with the Boglins' creation and development and sustaining their legacy nearly the entire time. His direct relationship with the fans over the years has allowed him to maintain production even in a small one-off capacity at times, so it's no surprise that he's the person at the head of the line most excited about bringing the Boglins back again. On October 28th of this year, 2020, a new Boglins Kickstarter launched and was fully funded almost immediately. As of this video, the campaign is well over 100%, with nearly 2 full months left to just pile on stretch goals. Tim Clark himself stars in the campaign videos alongside his Boglins, who don't give him the respect he deserves as his creator, but then being respectful was never something that they were created to be. Respect is a popple behavior. While the campaign focuses on reintroducing the original style Boglin toys complete with cage boxes, there are some new additions as well, most significantly the addition of a mythology. Quote, "For the first time, the complete story of the 7 Bogs and the 7 Kings will be told," end quote. You can even pledge at a level that will secure you a Boglin signed by Tim Clark himself. Boglins were a different kind of toy from a different era, but through their innovative engineering and unique personality, they have stood the test of time, returning time and again to a fan base that loves them as much as the day they first met them. And that includes one of their creators who has managed to hold their creepy Kraton hand throughout their lifetime, outside the bogs and into the future, which is bright with grosser than gross possibilities. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who already are. If you haven't heard, we did start a new second channel called Toy Galaxy 2. That's TOO. Head over there and subscribe for the stuff we don't post here. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy or become a YouTube channel member. Please share this video and let us know in the comments down below if you're more of a squid, schlump, schlurp, spunk, squawk, or squeal, or a squit, boink, splat, blap, clang, or doink. Oh my gosh, I didn't even consider it. Is this a slag slug thing where the American words are slang in the other countries? Are we even allowed to say squid, schlump, schlurp, squonk, squawk, squeal, squit, boink, splat, blap, clang, doink? Are we?